Imagine this. A 96-year-old woman, barefoot in her garden, laughing as she pulls fresh herbs from the soil. Her back is straight, her hands are steady, and her energy? It could rival someone half her age. No pill organizer on the counter, no walker leaning by the door, no long list of prescriptions to remember. Ask her what her secret is? She'll smile and point to a bowl of something simple, natural, grown, something she's eaten every day for decades. While many her age are managing blood pressure, joint pain, or memory loss, she's managing her own garden. And the best part? She didn't discover it in some fancy clinic or wellness retreat. It's not a supplement, not a fad, and definitely not expensive. It's one simple food, something available in most grocery stores across the U.S., that's quietly working behind the scenes, fueling her cells, protecting her brain, and keeping her body moving like it's still in its 60s. This video is about her, and about the food that could change the way you age. Because what if the real key to longevity wasn't in a bottle, but in a bowl? If you care about aging gracefully in America or love someone who does, hit that like button, subscribe for more practical health stories, and share this video with someone who could use a little inspiration. Let's find out what she's been eating and what you can start eating too. Meet the woman and her daily routine. Her name is Evelyn. Born in 1927 in a small town in Iowa, back when milk was delivered in glass bottles and kids played barefoot until sunset. She was raised on a farm where nothing came in a box and everything came from the earth. Her parents didn't talk about organic because everything just was. Breakfast was never skipped. In fact, Evelyn still says, if you miss breakfast, you miss your fuel. Today, at 96, her mornings are calm, almost sacred. She wakes up before 7. No alarm, just her body's rhythm. She does a few gentle stretches while still in bed. Legs up, arms over her head, soft breathing. Then, she walks barefoot to the kitchen, opens her curtains, and lets the light hit her face. That's how she greets the day. And then, she makes her signature bowl. It's not flashy. No viral trends. No protein powders or frozen acai. Just a simple, nourishing blend that she's eaten every day for over 60 years. She calls it her morning armor. The one thing that sets her up for a day of energy, clarity, and peace. She doesn't drink coffee. She never needed it. She doesn't own a microwave. She never wanted it. And she doesn't follow a diet. She follows what feels right and what's kept her dancing at weddings, playing with her great-grandkids, and remembering every birthday in the family. Evelyn isn't a nutritionist. She's not a YouTube star or Instagram influencer. She's someone's grandma. But she might just hold the secret that science is finally starting to understand. And it all starts with what's in that bowl. Let's talk about what she eats and why it might be the most powerful anti-aging habit no one's talking about. What she eats every day reveal. So, what is this magical food Evelyn eats every single morning? You might expect something exotic, something rare, something expensive. But nope, it's none of that. She eats a bowl of steel-cut oats every single day. That's right, steel-cut oats, not instant, not flavored packets, not sugary cereal, just slow-cooked, hearty, unprocessed oats. She prepares them the same way she has since she was a young wife in the 1950s, on the stove, with patience, with care, and with a few powerful add-ins. She starts with 1/3 cup of steel-cut oats, simmered in water or milk until they're soft but still textured. No microwave, just a gentle 20-minute cook on low heat. Then she stirs in a spoonful of ground flaxseed, a sprinkle of cinnamon, a few crushed walnuts, and fresh seasonal berries, usually blueberries or raspberries. Sometimes a drizzle of raw honey. Sometimes just a touch of almond butter for creaminess. No artificial sweeteners. No syrups. No fillers. Just real food that fuels her body and mind. And the question you're probably asking now is, why oats? Why would something so basic be her secret weapon for vitality, strength, and mental clarity? Well, as it turns out, it's not basic at all. Steel-cut oats might just be one of the most overlooked longevity foods available in every grocery store across America. And in the next chapter, we'll break down exactly why this humble bowl might be the reason Evelyn is still thriving at 96. Why oats are a longevity food. So why oats? Why would a simple bowl of steel-cut oats, something you can find in any grocery store across the U.S., be considered a secret weapon for aging well? Let's break it down. First, not all oats are created equal. Steel-cut oats are the least processed form of oats. They're made by cutting the whole oat groat into coarse pieces. No steaming, no rolling, no high-temperature flattening like instant oats. What does that mean for your body? It means these oats take longer to digest. And that's actually a very good thing. They're loaded with something called beta-glucan, a powerful type of soluble fiber. It forms a gel-like substance in your gut, which helps regulate blood sugar levels, lower LDL cholesterol, and even fuel the good bacteria in your microbiome. That's not hype. That's science. A study from Harvard University followed over 100,000 participants and found that those who regularly consumed whole grains like steel-cut oats had a significantly lower risk of heart disease and stroke. Tufts University backed that up with their own research, linking whole grain intake to better cognitive function and slower brain aging, especially in adults over 60. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Steel-cut oats don't spike your blood sugar the way instant packets or sugary cereals do. They provide slow-releasing energy that keeps you steady throughout the morning. No crashes, no brain fog, no irritability. And remember Evelyn? She doesn't nap during the day. She doesn't complain about fatigue. She doesn't rely on caffeine to get moving. Because every single morning, she's fueling her body with one of the most powerful tools for energy, heart health, brain clarity, and digestion. A warm bowl of steel-cut oats. It's affordable, it's accessible, and it's backed by decades of research. And here's the best part. She doesn't just stop at oats. What she adds in is where things get even more powerful. Let's talk about her first super add-in next. Her exact recipe, the power of simplicity. Now that we know what she eats, let's talk about how she makes it. Because the secret to longevity isn't just in the ingredient, it's in the ritual. Every morning, without fail, Evelyn walks into her cozy kitchen in her slippers, opens the same wooden cabinet she has for decades, and pulls out her steel-cut oats. Not instant, not flavored, just whole, simple, unprocessed oats. She scoops out half a cup, not measuring with a scale or fancy tools, just the same old scoop she's always used, and adds it to a small pot. She doesn't rush it. She cooks it slowly in water or unsweetened almond milk, depending on what she has. Some days she'll stir it gently for 10 minutes while humming an old song from the radio. Other days she'll let it simmer while she waters her houseplants. Once the oats are soft and creamy, she transfers them to her favorite bowl, the one with a little chip on the side that she refuses to throw away. Then come the add-ins. First, a handful of blueberries. Fresh when they're in season, frozen when they're not. They melt into the oats and release that deep purple color, packed with antioxidants that fight aging from the inside out. Next, she sprinkles in a spoonful of ground flaxseed. Not whole, not shelled. Ground, because that's how your body absorbs the omega-3s, the fiber, and the plant compounds that help lower inflammation and support heart health. And finally, just a drizzle of raw honey. Not too much, just enough to add that gentle sweetness without turning breakfast into dessert. She stirs it all together, sits by the window, and eats it slowly with gratitude. No sugar bombs, no artificial sweeteners, no flavored syrups or mystery powders. Just real food, real ingredients, nature on a plate. And the crazy part? You can do this exact same thing tomorrow morning. Everything in her bowl is something you can find at your local grocery store, your farmer's market, or even online. It's not about spending more money. It's about making better choices. And once you understand why she chose each ingredient, you'll see that this breakfast isn't just delicious. It's protective. It's healing. It's a daily investment in a longer, stronger, sharper life. Let's break down the power behind her first key add-in, blueberries. Blueberries, America's brainberry. Why blueberries? Why not strawberries, bananas, or raisins? For Evelyn, the 96-year-old woman whose daily routine we're learning from, blueberries aren't just tasty. They're powerful, and science agrees. She calls them her little blue blessings. And every morning, she adds a small handful to her warm bowl of oats, whether fresh or frozen. But here's what makes blueberries more than just a fruit topping. They're rich in something called anthocyanins, deep blue and purple plant compounds that give the berries their color and give your brain its edge. These antioxidants are especially important after 60, when inflammation and oxidative stress start chipping away at memory, focus, and mental clarity. And the best part? You don't need to eat a bucket of them to see the benefits. A 2022 study published in Nutrients followed a group of older adults over a period of 6 months. Half of them added a small serving of blueberries to their diet every day. The result? The blueberry group showed slower cognitive decline, better memory scores, and improved blood flow to the brain compared to those who didn't eat any at all. Let that sink in. One small daily habit, one small bowl, one small berry, and real, measurable protection for your mind. And that's not all. Blueberries are also anti-inflammatory, which means they help reduce the kind of chronic, low-level inflammation that contributes to heart disease, joint pain, and even mood issues in older adults. They support gut health, stabilize blood sugar, and have even been linked to better balance and coordination in seniors. And here's the kicker: they're affordable. You don't have to hunt for exotic berries from across the world. You can find frozen wild blueberries at nearly any grocery store in the U.S. And when they're in season, even better. Buy them fresh, rinse them, freeze what you don't use, and enjoy them all year long. Evelyn swears by them. Her doctor supports it, and researchers are confirming it. So tomorrow morning, when you reach for your breakfast, ask yourself, what's stopping you from doing the same? Next, let's look at the second ingredient in her anti-aging bowl, something that doesn't just help digestion, but protects your heart, brain, and bones too. It's small, it's brown, it's easy to miss. It's ground flaxseed. Flaxseed, the tiny seed with giant benefits. If you opened Evelyn's fridge, you'd probably find something unusual in a little mason jar near the door. It's not medicine. It's not a fancy supplement. It's ground flaxseed. Every Sunday afternoon, she pours a small batch of golden flax seeds into a coffee grinder, grinds them fresh, and stores the powder in a sealed jar in the fridge. Why? Because this tiny, humble seed is one of the most powerful anti-aging tools nature has to offer. Let's break it down. Flaxseed is one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically ALA or alpha-linolenic acid. These healthy fats reduce inflammation, support brain function, and protect your joints, especially important as we age and cartilage naturally wears down. But there's more. Flaxseed is also incredibly high in lignans, natural plant compounds that help balance hormones, support breast and prostate health, and have been shown in studies to reduce the risk of certain cancers. And we can't forget the fiber, both soluble and insoluble. Just 1 tablespoon of ground flax delivers a gentle push to your digestive system, helping to keep things regular without being harsh or uncomfortable. Evelyn says it's one of the things that keeps her gut happy and joints calm. She's not wrong. According to research from the National Institutes of Health, daily flaxseed consumption is linked to lower cholesterol, reduced blood pressure, and better metabolic health, especially in older adults. But there's one important rule she follows. She never eats whole flax seeds. Your body can't digest them properly that way. She grinds them fresh every week and keeps the powder in the fridge to protect the delicate oils from going rancid. How does she use it? Every morning, she adds 1 spoonful to her oats, right after the blueberries, and just before the honey drizzle. It blends right in. No weird taste. Just a light, nutty texture and a whole lot of benefits. And if you're not into oatmeal, you can stir flax into smoothies, sprinkle it over yogurt, or even bake it into muffins or pancakes. So here's the takeaway. 1 seed, 1 spoon, 1 habit that supports your heart, your hormones, your digestion, and your joints. It's the kind of nutrition Evelyn doesn't even think about anymore. It's just part of who she is. Next, we'll talk about the final touch in her morning bowl. A simple spoonful of something sweet, raw honey, and why she never gave it up. Raw honey, nature's gentle sweetener. It's the final touch. A small swirl from a wooden dipper. Golden, smooth, and just enough to bring warmth to every bite. Raw honey. While most seniors were told to cut out sugar entirely, Evelyn made one exception, and she's been doing it for decades. She doesn't pour it. She doesn't drown her food in it. Just 1 small drizzle, right on top of her oats, every morning. And here's the surprising truth. Raw honey, not the processed kind from a squeeze bottle, but the real stuff, unfiltered and local, can actually support your health as you age. Let's break it down. Raw honey is rich in antioxidants like flavonoids and phenolic acids, compounds that help fight oxidative stress and slow cellular aging. That means fewer wrinkles, better immune defense, and more protection for your heart and brain. But it does more than that. Evelyn swears by it for one major reason: her digestion. Raw honey has natural antimicrobial and prebiotic properties, meaning it supports healthy gut bacteria while helping to fight off harmful bugs in the digestive tract. It just soothes my stomach, she says. I don't know the science, but I know how I feel. Well, the science backs her up. Studies have shown that small amounts of raw honey can reduce inflammation in the gut, help manage acid reflux, and even promote better nutrient absorption, especially when paired with fiber-rich foods like oats and flaxseed. And there's another reason she sticks to it. Unlike white sugar or artificial sweeteners, raw honey doesn't cause the same kind of blood sugar spike. It's not 0 calorie, of course, but because it's paired with enzymes, antioxidants, and trace minerals, your body processes it more gently, especially in the context of a high-fiber, whole food meal. Evelyn buys hers from a local farmer's market every month. It's raw, it's unpasteurized, and it still has that faint floral aroma, proof that it hasn't been stripped of its goodness. Sometimes it even crystallizes in the jar, and that's how she knows it's real. So what's the takeaway? You don't need to cut out every sweet thing in life. You just need to be intentional about it. A spoonful of raw honey, not every hour, but once a day, on something real, can be both nourishing and comforting. And in Evelyn's case, it's the final flavor in a bowl that's kept her strong, regular, and smiling for over 90 years. Now, let's step back a moment and ask, why does this simple meal work so well for someone her age? And could it work for you too? The morning routine around the meal. It's not just what she eats, it's how she eats it. Every morning, just after sunrise, Evelyn starts her day the same way she has for decades. Not in a rush, not behind the wheel, not scrolling through headlines or answering emails. She sits at the same little wooden table her husband built 50 years ago, with the same old spoon, the same hand-woven placemat, and that same bowl of oats, warm, simple, and steady. But before she takes the first bite, she does something that may be even more powerful than the food itself. She closes her eyes and reflects on what she's grateful for. Sometimes it's big, she says, like the fact that my children still call. Sometimes it's small, like how quiet the house is in the morning. Then she takes a sip of her warm lemon water, a habit she picked up back in the 1970s after reading about digestion in a home remedy book. And she writes just a few lines, a page in a weathered leather journal, filled with thoughts, prayers, hopes, and reflections. There's no TV on, no radio, no phone buzzing on the table, just stillness, a bowl of oats, steam from her mug, and the sound of birds outside the window. And here's the point. This isn't just nostalgia. It's science. Studies have shown that mindful eating, slowing down, chewing properly, eliminating distractions, can improve digestion, reduce overeating, and even lower blood pressure. When you eat in a calm, focused state, your body produces more of the enzymes needed to absorb nutrients efficiently, meaning you get more from the food you eat. But there's something even deeper. People who practice gratitude regularly have been shown to sleep better, have stronger immune systems, lower inflammation, and even live longer. And that simple act of journaling? It's a form of mental exercise that's been linked to better memory, lower stress, and improved mood in seniors. So yes, Evelyn's longevity isn't just about steel-cut oats. It's about intention. She's not rushing. She's not distracted. She's not treating breakfast like a chore. She's honoring it like a ritual. And in a world that moves too fast, with screens at every corner and stress in every direction, maybe that's the real secret. Maybe it's not just about what's on the plate, but who you are while you're eating it. Because food doesn't just feed the body. It feeds the mind, the heart, the soul. And for Evelyn, that quiet, grounded, grateful morning might be the most nourishing thing of all. Next up, let's dig deeper into why this kind of routine, especially after 60, can change everything. What she avoids every morning. We've talked about what she does eat, but sometimes what you don't eat is just as important. For Evelyn, the secret to her long, vibrant life isn't just in the oats or the blueberries or the flaxseed. It's in what never even makes it to her table. Because here's the truth. She doesn't touch sugary cereals. No rainbow-colored loops. No frosted flakes. No boxes with cartoon characters promising whole grain, but delivering more sugar than a dessert. Why? I tried them once, she says. My stomach felt off all day. I was hungry again an hour later. She doesn't grab those so-called breakfast bars either. You know the ones, wrapped in shiny plastic, marketed as healthy but packed with syrups, preservatives, and ingredients she can't even pronounce. To me, she says, if you need a label to tell you it's healthy, it probably isn't. And here's a big one. She never drinks coffee on an empty stomach. Not even once. Now don't get her wrong. She enjoys a cup of coffee. But not until after her oats. Never first thing. Because when you drink coffee on an empty stomach, especially after 60, you spike cortisol, irritate the stomach lining, and trigger blood sugar crashes that can wreck your energy for the entire day. In fact, doctors now warn that skipping a balanced breakfast and going straight for caffeine can lead to digestive issues, jitteriness, hormonal imbalances, and poor appetite regulation. Evelyn figured this out long before it made headlines. It's not about being perfect, she smiles. It's just about listening to what your body says no to. So what does she say no to? 1. Anything artificial. 2. Anything that leaves her bloated, foggy, or tired. 3. Anything she can't imagine her grandmother eating. She eats to nourish, not just to fill up. Because after 60, every bite either feeds your health or chips away at it. And Evelyn? She chooses food that builds her. One slow, mindful, powerful morning at a time. Coming up next, let's look at the surprising science behind why simple, whole foods like hers keep the brain sharp and the heart strong, well into your 90s. How she's outlived her friends without doctors. When you ask Evelyn what the secret is, she smiles softly. Not because she's holding onto some magic formula, but because the answer is so simple, it almost feels too obvious to say. I just eat what my body thanks me for, she says. And the results? They speak for themselves. At 96, Evelyn still lives in her own home. She tends her garden. She reads every afternoon without glasses. And most incredibly, she's never needed more than routine doctor checkups. No heart medication, no insulin, no blood pressure pills lined up on a tray. While many of her old friends have passed on or are now in and out of hospitals, Evelyn keeps going, gracefully, quietly, stronger than anyone expects. So what changed? It wasn't luck, and it definitely wasn't a lifetime of perfect genes. In her own words, I started paying attention to what I was putting in my body every morning. That changed everything. Her morning oats, her blueberries, her flaxseed, her honey, her calm, her intention. Over time, they added up to something bigger than breakfast. They became her medicine. And here's the amazing part. She's not an outlier. In fact, studies from blue zones, places like Okinawa, Sardinia, and Loma Linda, show the same patterns. People who live past 90 with vibrant health tend to eat whole, plant-heavy foods daily, avoid ultra-processed meals, keep routines that ground the body and calm the mind, and rarely need the doctor because they nourish themselves like prevention is the cure. Evelyn never studied blue zones. She just lived like them naturally. Because longevity doesn't always come from a bottle, a breakthrough, or a miracle. Sometimes it comes from breakfast. Coming up next, what happens to your brain and body when you commit to a routine like Evelyn's, even if you're starting in your 60s, 70s, or beyond? What her family says. Evelyn doesn't brag. She doesn't lecture. She just lives her life with quiet strength and simple habits. But if you really want to know how powerful her routine is, just ask her family. Her grandkids joke, Grandma's oatmeal could fix anything. A cold? A bad grade? A breakup? Out came the oats, the blueberries, the honey. A warm bowl served with a hug. It wasn't just food, it was comfort, consistency, and care. Her daughter, now in her late 60s, says, she's sharper than people half her age. I call her when I forget things. She remembers where my keys are. And it's not just about the oats. It's the way Evelyn shows up for life. The way she takes time for her morning. The way she walks to the porch after breakfast to breathe in the air, water her flowers, or write a letter. Yes, a handwritten one. Her habits didn't just shape her life. They shaped her children and grandchildren, too. She taught them her recipe, step by step. And now, her youngest grandson in college still makes it during finals. Her daughter swears it keeps her regular and focused. Even her son, who used to skip breakfast for black coffee, now starts with steel-cut oats and berries. Evelyn didn't force them. She just lived it and let the results speak. Longevity is contagious when it's lived with joy. And this is what's powerful about Evelyn's story. It's not a secret you keep. It's a habit you pass on. Coming up next, what happens inside your body when you adopt this kind of morning rhythm, even starting today? You can start this tomorrow. You don't need to wait for Monday. You don't need a fancy plan. And you definitely don't need a celebrity trainer or a $200 supplement stack. All you need is a simple bowl, a little intention, and a quiet decision to give your body the kind of fuel it's been asking for all along. Because here's the truth. This isn't about expensive superfoods. It's about super habits. Steel-cut oats? You can find them in any grocery store. Usually under $5 for a bag that lasts weeks. No additives. No colors. Just real, slow-burning fuel. Frozen blueberries? $3 to $5 a week, depending on the season. They're already washed, ready to go, and packed with antioxidants any time of year. Flaxseed? You can grab a bag for around $6, grind a few tablespoons, and keep it in the fridge. That one bag can last you a month or more. And raw honey? It's optional, but if you can swing it, local is best. A small spoonful goes a long way in flavor and gut support. No powders. No detox kits. No trends. Just real food that your body recognizes and loves. And the best part? You can prep it in under 10 minutes. Even if you're 76, 66, or 86, you can begin this tomorrow. In your own kitchen. With your own hands. You don't need to be perfect. Just consistent. Because it's not the one-time miracle that changes your life. It's the small, quiet choices you make over and over again. Coming up next, what actually happens inside your body when you eat like this, day after day, year after year? Let's explore how this kind of meal rewires your health from the inside out. It's not just the food, it's the consistency. Here's what most people miss. This 96-year-old woman didn't suddenly get healthy last year. She didn't wake up one morning, switch everything, and expect miracles. She made one small decision, then made it again the next day, and the next, and the next. That bowl of steel-cut oats? She's been making it every morning for over 60 years. Rain or shine, holidays or not. Whether she was traveling, tired, or in a rush, she stayed consistent. No crash diets, no guilt, no starting over Monday. She understood something most people don't. Sparkle's long-term health isn't built in a day, but it is built daily. Sparkles. At 55, she could have said, "I'm too old to change." But she didn't. At 65, she could have said, "It's just genes." But she didn't. At 75, she could have said, "It's too late now." But again, she didn't. Instead, she doubled down. On breakfast, on movement, on peace of mind, on gratitude. And that consistency, it became her superpower. Now at 96, she isn't just surviving. She's thriving. Because what you do most often, not what you do once in a while, is what shapes your future. So ask yourself, what's one small decision you can make today and stick with tomorrow? Because you don't have to wait until 96 to feel amazing. But if you do, this is how you'll get there. You don't have to live in a blue zone to eat like someone who does. You don't need fancy health retreats, expensive supplements, or miracle powders. What you need is a simple habit you can repeat. A small, nourishing act of love for your body every single morning. Because that's what she did. One bowl of steel-cut oats, a handful of blueberries, a spoon of ground flaxseed, a drizzle of raw honey, and the mindset to slow down and enjoy it. That's not just breakfast. That's longevity served warm. So now it's your turn. Will you try her breakfast tomorrow? Will you give your body the same quiet, consistent care? Tell us in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're starting your mornings. And if you found this story helpful or inspiring, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who deserves a vibrant life at any age. Because sometimes the secret to aging well isn't about adding more. It's about going back to what's always worked. And the best day to start is today.